All right. Take two. We've got Jason Conn here, who is off the water. Just got off Ivie. So first of all, now I can read your shirt. 8 blades is cheating. What is that? What does that mean? Come on.
Man, I was fishing a tournament down at Rayburn a few weeks ago, and they have a rule you can't use an Alabama rig with more than 5 blades on it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even. I mean, you can't use 8 blades, and you can't use more than 5 blades, and you can't use more than 3 hooks. So I cut the 2 hooks off, but I didn't even think about the blades being a rule. So I used the 8-blade A rig and got DQ'd for it. So everybody,
wow.
a few people were calling me a cheater for it. So some people made this hoodie. So it's kind of gone into a big deal.
Wow. So how did you finish though before you got disqualified?
Well, I was in 4th place after day 1, and they DQ'd me for day 1, but I still got to fish day 2, so I still got my my points and stuff. But so wow. Yeah, it was pretty upsetting.
So on the smaller tournament trails, obviously they don't allow Alabama rigs anymore on the elites. I don't know about Major League Fishing, but I know for damn sure the elites don't allow them. But yet they still allow live scope.
Yeah.
Like,
trust me. There's a lot I'd like to say about it, but that might be need to be for another one.
Yeah. So, okay. This is take 2. Like we said, we tried to do it on the water. You were actually finishing up a guided trip, but the service wasn't that great. So, what has the fishing been like over the past week?
Today it wasn't as good. Our boy Dalton Smith that you've already been on show with, he was just at the marina weighing another 13 pounders. So he's got another share lunker in the live well as we speak. His customer actually caught it.
Wow.
So, but as far as fishing, I was actually with Co Wetzel the last 2 days. We went to a private lake though, and fishing there was pretty good. But Monday is when I caught the 17, and I think I got here and got out on the water by 11 or 11:30, and by 2:30 we were in weighing that one and had like 14 fish in the boat that day. So it was pretty good that day. And then Tuesday the wind blew like heck, so I didn't get to fish. And then I said Wednesday and Thursday I was over to private lake with Co. So today was the first day back on the water, and I think we only had
Co do too many drugs to did he hit his head? Like, why is he not on Ivie trying to catch a share lunker? Like, I like fishing private lakes just fine, but the share lunkers are on Ivie. So what's he thinking?
Yeah. No, the private lake we went to, they caught a 17 pounder out of it last year.
Oh, really?
And we were in hopes that we could find her. It's a small lake. It's about 70 acres. And we were hoping that we could find her and catch her again this year, which she probably would have been a state record. So who knows? But that's why we went there. And it was on a ranch too. So they did some thermal hunting and some other stuff. He shot at some aoudad and stuff like that. So didn't hit them, but
shot some.
They were running. So.
Oh man. Well, I like his music. Okay.
Yeah.
But I always love to find out that our Texas country musicians are into the outdoors as much as we are.
Yeah, man. Him and Cody Cannon is a good friend of mine too, and he's very well into all the hunting stuff as well.
Yeah, right on. So but the thing is, so you go to a lake that's 70 acres and you're looking for one fish, and that's how live scope has changed the game. Is now you're hunting with technology one specific fish.
Yeah, it's basically thermal hunting.
Yeah, I haven't heard that analogy, but that's a good way to put it.
I thought about that a couple of days ago when I was with Co. Actually, I said, "Man, all we're doing is out here thermal hunting. Is basically all you're doing."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're seeing them. What it does is it eliminates a lot of stuff. You don't cast unless you see a fish.
Mm-hmm.
And that fish don't bite. You move on. You just keep going. You don't just sit there. You're not just sitting on a spot or sitting at casting at the bank. You're actually throwing at fish. So it kind of eliminates a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is an interesting way to put it and to think about it. That it's like underwater thermal hunting, but
yeah.
Ivie has for the last 2 years been absolutely on fire, has displaced Lake Fork, which is your home lake where you guide, as the lake that's producing the most share lunkers. And if you look historically at like, I think we're up to 600 something share lunkers now, and Lake Fork has probably
Mine was 626, I think, and Lake Fork
okay.
has over 250 of those.
Yeah. So what, 40% of them have come from Lake Fork, essentially?
Yeah. I mean, basically, Lake Fork is the reason that all these other lakes are what they are now. I mean, took their share lunker fry from there and reproduced those and put them in lakes all across the state. And that's why the fishing's gotten so much better here, and why there's so many more big fish.
Yeah. And you alluded to the fact that Texas Parks and Wildlife, through the share lunker program, about 12 years ago was when they probably put the current batch that guys are pulling out of Ivie right now. That's when those fish were fry. Because how much weight did they gain a year?
About a pound and a half. And then,
Okay.
pre-spawn, they probably add another pound and a half of eggs, or more or less. I don't know the exact number weight on that. That's just a guess, as far as, how much weight they put on. So they're fat right now.
So when I come in March, I actually am going to fish with Dalton at the end of March. They'll have probably already spawned out, or be in the middle of the spawn.
Probably just be starting.
Okay. Yep. So that's out of I think probably where I live. It's probably just starting about then too, or end of March. Yeah. Just depends on where you are.
Yeah, Lake Fork will start probably middle of March, depending on the water temps, but sometimes, I've caught them at the end of February at Fork on beds, but it really just depends on water temps and stuff like that.
So the spawn's actually a little later there than so I'm in North Texas. I'm in McKinney. And I was thinking, like mid-March seems like more. That's why I was worried, like, well, these fish are going to be spawned out when I'm fishing down there.
No, that'll be prime time, man. For sure. I'll be at Fork. I won't get to show y'all how to do it, but.
So let's talk about your fish. You've now caught 2 over 13 pounds, including a monster. 2 over 14. Oh yeah, didn't mean to shortchange you there. So when did you catch the first one?
I caught the 1408 in December, and then caught the 17 obviously on Monday, this past Monday.
What did you catch the first one on, and in what depth?
Caught it on a 10XD and 15 foot.
Okay. And just saw it on live scope. And did you have to make multiple casts, or just make the one perfect cast?
Actually, there was 5 of them the same size, so 5 probably around 14 pounds. And I saw it on live scope. Saw my bait bouncing off the bottom, and then saw her just go down there and grab it, and all is history after that.
And how was the fight at that point?
Man, honestly, it was weird because she was, one of the hooks was hooked here in the part of her mouth here, and then that outer part of her gill plate, the other hook was right there in the side of it. So it was up by her gill plate, so she couldn't fight. So it was really just like, when I saw it on the live scope coming up, I honestly thought I had snagged a log or something, because it was just coming straight up. And then when it came up, I saw it was a mega giant. Wish I'd had that video with that one I was freaking out on that one.
Oh, I'm sure. What was your personal best before that?
1205 or 12, something like that. A low
on
12.
Fork?
Yeah. I got 2 12s at Fork.
Okay.
And a 1298 at Fork.
Oh, wow. 1298. So you just missed the share lunker program.
Yeah. We took it in and weighed it on the certified scale, and it weighed 1298. We weighed it twice, and we couldn't get it to hit 13. So.
Oh, if it just would have eaten one more shad.
Yeah. On a bed too. We caught her off a bed.
So. Yeah. My dad's biggest is it's an 8 something that he caught on Fork in the late 90s. And he, back then, you just killed the fish and just took it to the taxidermist, Now we look at that as deplorable behavior, right? But because they can make a replica, back then that wasn't how it was. Yeah.
When I was I guess I was probably 9 or 10, maybe 11, I caught a 8 something, and I got it mounted, and it was one of them skin mounts. And then I saw it again. My dad had it about 10 years ago, and it would look like crap.
Oh yeah. So, no, the replicas will outlive you and I. The actual
definitely.
The actual fish will not. That's for sure. Those skin mounts. So
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of a old school personally, but and I kind of bucket technology, which is weird because you're making a living guiding hunts with live scope, and I make a living putting a podcast on the internet and running social media pages. But I think back to the good old days, like maybe it was better without all the technology. I don't know. I'm just being
Yeah.
drunk.
I mean, it probably wouldn't be, things wouldn't be happening the way they are right now if we didn't have live scope. I think one of the fish that's been caught, one of the share lunkers that's been caught this year was without it. There's 10 now. Mine was the ninth. And so there's 10 now. And all of those but one have been caught with live scope. And the crazy thing is I know 6 of the people that have them
Yeah.
now.
And so how many have been caught on Ivie though?
8 of them. Or
Wow.
no, 9 of them. Jack York caught one at Nacogdoches, and that's all. The rest of them have been caught here.
That's
2
incredible.
of them, well, Dalton, him and Kate caught one in the same day.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about the one you caught on Monday that went 17 and change. You can tell us the exact weight.
Yeah.
But I did read that it's the 8th largest fish caught in Texas, or weighed into the share lunker program anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's actually the 6th largest to ever be weighed in the share lunker program.
Okay.
8th largest ever, weighed in Texas history. So 73. Crazy thing is I, no one knows what it feels like other than maybe one guy that's, that caught one last year. But when you catch a fish like that, it's an adrenaline rush that it's hard to even explain how it feels. I took the fish in, and I didn't know what to do. I had it in the live well and went in to get a bag, and they handed me a bag. I walked outside with the bag to get my live well, and I was like, well, heck, there's no water in the bag, and this is how dumb I look. But anyway, so I'm like, well, I'm not going to take the water out of the live well because I might have to put the fish back in the live well. So anyways, I just grabbed the fish, I put her in the bag, dry bag, and I was holding her, but I walked her in, set her on the scale. She was completely dry, and she weighed 1703. But then somebody called me and it's like, hey man, you need to take her, put her in a bag and go back and weigh her wet, So I did that, and not realizing I'd put her in a tank with minnows. So it weighed 1718 when I weighed her wet. And, but we didn't use that weight because it was, we put her in a deal with minnows, and just didn't want anybody making the assumption that she was in there eating minnows to gain that little bit of weight. But when I weighed her in the boat, I don't know if you've seen the video, but when I weighed her in the boat on my certified scale, she weighed 1710. So she's the unofficial lake record, but she's not, she's not the lake. So,
well, that would, so there's got to be some level of stress when these fish go into a live well, and like having a snack. I don't know if they'd even be interested in that.
No, they're not. And people like us understand that, but there are, there's plenty of people out there that don't understand that. And I didn't want people saying, well, he put her in a deal with minnows so he could get the lake record, and it just, people are already accusing me of snagging it and other dumb stuff. So I think sure that too.
So we did this crazy interview. It was before COVID. It's been 3 years probably, with a reporter / fisherman who caught that guy in California snagging.
Oh yeah. Mike Long.
Yeah. What Mark Long was his name? Yeah.
Mike Long.
Mike Long. Okay. And he brought the fish, one of the fish. He actually has the replica in his possession. He brought that to the studio. But yeah, that dude, he's right there with the walleye cheaters.
People kept telling me to put weights down his belly. I'm like, man, I ain't doing that.
Yeah. What does a 17-pound fish look like on live scope versus a 14-pound fish? Could you tell a difference?
Man, the craziest thing, like, I think God kind of gave me this fish. It's a very weird story, man. Like I was teaching my customers how to use the live scope, and the guy that was standing beside me, I literally had just said, they called me last night and reminded me this. I had literally just said about 5 more casts, or fish I'm gonna throw at, and then I'm gonna let you have it. So I saw a fish. I threw out there at a fish. It wasn't this fish that I caught. It was a different fish. I'll throw out there. I'm reeling it in. The fish kind of comes up and then turns off. So I'll just keep, reeling my bait in, and the boat's kind of drifting backwards. And I just looked down and I see this fish under there. And I said, dude, there's a share lunker. So he comes up, and you can see in the video, we're both looking down, and then I'm having to take steps backwards because the fish is literally right underneath my trolling motor. And I've got an 8-foot rod. So my rod's actually hanging over the trolling motor. So if I would have reeled that in, the fish never would have saw the bait. So I had to take some steps backwards. As I'm walking backwards, you can see it go over her head, and then she just came up and just smacked it.
What was this fish doing hanging out under the boat?
That's what I was trying to understand. And then they told me, they're like, dude, you probably drifted over the top of her, because we were drifting back. And I guess I drifted over the top of her because I just happened to look down, and there she was. I mean, it was just the weirdest thing, man. That's why I was like, maybe the fish gods were like, you've hit your time. You've done your time, your fish. So I have to thank God for that, or who, because there's no, like, I teach this live scope now. I mean, I used to be the biggest live scope hater, but now I'm out here teaching it. And I tell people all the time, you got to throw as far as you can see, and you're going to have to catch them way away from the boat, because when they get up by the trolling motor, they're gone. And then I catch the second largest bass, in the last 30 years underneath my trolling motor. So there's no rhyme or reason why all that happened, but it did.
Yeah. Do you know Jerry Hancock?
Yeah, I know him real well.
So Jerry and I have a interesting relationship. I leased his property here in Conn County for bow hunting for 1 year.
Oh yeah.
Very expensive for 20 acres.
You should have called me first. I'd talked him down a little bit.
Yeah. But that's Jerry showed me live scope on Fork. We went crappie fishing, and my dad and I went with him about a year ago, last February. And that was the first time I'd ever seen live scope. And that was just pure insanity. But he said the live scope has turned the guiding business from 6-7 months a year into he can guide 12 months a year. And that day we would not have been, the fish weren't schooled up. They weren't really on any type of pattern, and they were all spread out, just one fish on one tree, in 15 feet of water. He's like, if we didn't have live scope, we would just be making random pitches here and there, and maybe we would have caught a couple fish, but we wouldn't have a cooler full.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He chases some big ones out there though too, kind of like we're chasing big bass,
Oh yeah. 100%.
I have to kick him too much.
You're starting to break up just a little bit. You're frozen.
I'm frozen.
Let's see. You're good. You keep freezing in and out. I know the service out there isn't that great, but say it again.
I can hear you just fine.
Okay. So that was the biggest fish caught in Texas since when? What was the previous? Are we talking about Barry St. Clair's fish? That was in 94 or 90?
Yeah, no, that's the state record.
Right.
The lake record here is the 1706. Mine's 1703. It was 1706. Was caught here last year around the same time. So his fish last year, my fish this year, are the largest two fish to be caught in the last 30 years.
That's just mind blowing. Absolutely mind blowing.
Yep.
And
there's out here too. Trust me, I've seen them, and I've been kind of under guessing some of these big ones because I saw this one, and I knew it was a share lunker when I saw it on the graph. But I've got two. I showed Dalton one of them, and he went with me, and I was guessing at 14, and he's saying 15. And there she's on a tree, and I just hadn't been able to catch her. But there's another one about 50 yards from her, and it's bigger than the 15 that he thinks is 15. And I was thinking it was 16 to 18, and it's bigger than the fish that I just caught. So I'm thinking 20.
You think what?
So I'm going to be glued to that. I think it's pushing 20.
Wow. All right. Well, yep. Well, there's no way to save that one for me. If you could tie it up for my trip, that'd be great. But
I'm hoping to catch her before you get here.
Yeah. So what does that do for your business? Like, so I don't know how long you've been on Fork guiding, but now you're obviously here out on Ivie. And there's two things to this question. Number one, without live scope, could you just say, I'm going to go guide on Ivie now? Of course you're a great fisherman. You do it for a living, but Lake Fork. And now just like Dalton, he came from Kentucky, drove down all night, and then a day and a half later caught 2 14-pounders. So could you do that without live scope? And then also, what does it mean for your business? Like, are you going to end up probably moving there full time, or are you just going to ride this hot streak out until Ivie cools down?
Man, I'm probably just gonna, I'm going back to Fork in 2 weeks. So
Mhm.
I'm not gonna move out here. But Fork's my home lake, and Fork is actually a better fishing lake. I mean, it's not easy to come out here and catch fish. People see us catching these big ones, and if you look at all the guys that have caught them, I mean, it's guys that do it every day. Like, we're looking at that screen every day. The average person, if they are going to catch one, it's going to be pure luck, which, mine was luck and a lot of them, but it's being out here. It's hard like to fish. So I probably won't be moving out here, but I'm probably going to just guide here like I did this year, probably December through February, and then I'll be back at Fork. But yes, live scope has made it where I can guide this time of year, and be successful at it. December, I caught numerous over I can't remember how many. I think we had 5 fish over 12 pounds. And then my buddy that was right by us up there caught a 13.4. I mean, there's some big ones. You can catch fish all year out here. And I'll probably come out here some in the summer as well, maybe for like a week or two. But, my plan was never to come out here and guide. But all my clients, I've got a ton of regular people that fish with me a lot, and they want to come out here. So, I got to do what they want to do and keep them happy. That's what I'm going to do, man. I mean, that's why my business is what it is. I mean, I don't have any problem booking trips. I'm actually booked till July right now. And that's once I go through the 200 and whatever messages I've got to respond to, I'll probably be booked up for longer than that. So, but I'll be back here. I mean, I'll be definitely be guiding again here next year. So until it calms, till there ain't any share lunkers left.
So here's the million dollar question. Do you think within the next 2 years a new state record will come out of Ivie?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that would be something, man. That would be
happen this year.
Yeah.
I mean, a dude caught a 17 last year, and I've already caught a 17 this year. There's some swimming around. I mean, somebody, you put enough boats on this water and baits in this water, it's going to go by the right fish. And, yeah, it's going to happen. It might as well be, though, not you.
Well, the state record's 18, I believe.
Yeah.
Barry St. Clair caught it on a crappie jig on Lake Fork. And I never had Barry St. Clair on the show, but I did have, I think his name's Mark Stevens.
Yeah.
Mark Stevens. Yeah. Because he had caught, is he the one that caught Ethel?
He caught Ethel 1760, or what was it? 17 something. Yeah. That's the state record caught on not live bait.
Yeah.
I think the 8 caught on a minnow, or maybe even a crappie.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, he definitely caught that one on live bait. But Mark's fish, and he came on a couple years back and told that story. And Ethel is the fish that really incited this bass fishing craze, not just in Texas, but I mean, hell, Johnny Morris bought that fish from Mark, took it to the Bass Pro Shops, the original one in Springfield, somewhere in Missouri.
Yep, she lived there till she was 20 something pounds.
And then she died there. Yeah, but I mean, millions of people went to that store to see that fish.
Yep. Well, my fish is for sale, y'all.
Where's the fish now? You already released it, I assume.
No, she's in Athens at the at their facility over there, the share lunker people. They take her over there, and she'll have a bunker, and they'll spawn her with the male, like that came out of a share lunker, that's a bigger male with good genetics, and then they'll spread those babies across Texas, the fingerlings across all the lakes, or not every lake, but certain lakes across Texas.
Yeah, I think so. There's been so many changes to the share lunker program just in the 15 years I've been doing this, but certainly had Larry Hodges on. He was the one that kind of ran that thing when it got off the ground. He's the one that went and picked up Ethel initially, which they didn't even have that thing planned to start until a year later. But then Mark's Fish kind of jump started it, and they're like, "We got to do this now." So it was in the works, but they didn't. Yeah. But then it's like
think about this. Think about Lake Fork having live scope back in the day.
Right. Yeah.
There'd be a 20-pounder for sure.
There's no doubt. How could there not be with as many big fish that came out of there in the mid 90s?
20-pounder floating.
Mm-hmm.
And this mountain, one of the stores up there. Yeah, we talk about that a lot out here. We're like, man, just imagine what it would have been like back in the day with Lake Fork if they had live scope back then. It would have been insane. But I don't think any lake could ever touch it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really great point. Yeah. And like we said, there's a reason why they've kicked out over 250 share lunkers over the years.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bigger. It's 27,000. This one's 19, but only about probably 13 right now because it's low.
Yeah.
And this lake fluctuates so much. It could be full and then dry within a couple of years. It's a water lake for like Midland, Odessa, Big Spring, Abilene, San Angelo, and other surrounding towns or so.
Yeah. Did you say what you caught the big one on? The second big one?
It's on video, but I haven't really publicly said anything about it yet. I caught it on the Alabama rig.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, Shane's Baits Alabama rig. It's the best one there is on the market. Yeah, I caught her.
I know Dalton caught his second or the third one actually on an Alabama rig.
Yeah. They caught that one today on Alabama rig.
His client did though.
Yeah, his client did. Yeah.
So that's good. At least you guys are being a little more generous now. Well, I mean, not you. You yanked yours out from underneath your client. So.
Oh yeah. I don't care, man. My clients called me last night and they were like, man, I just want you to know, man, you're our guy. Like, we love you to death. Like, we don't care. Like, we're very excited for you. And, we were a part of history as well. So like, don't let that stuff on Facebook bother you. And I was like, it does bother me in a way just because, it's like, that's a history deal. And I worked my butt off, man. And just to see all the hate and stuff, like hunting, fishing, I don't understand why people are that way, man. Everybody just needs to get along and be happy for each other and congratulate each other and just, have fun with it. But it's turning into something a lot different.
So you're a bow hunter. Wait a second. Wait, you mean you're a crossbow hunter? Oh, well, F you, man. Yeah. Like,
yeah. I use both. I like crossbow hunting too.
I never have shot a crossbow in my life, but I don't judge the guys that do. I could care less, right?
I just take it when, like, if I'm hog hunting and I want to kill a couple of hogs, sometimes in some of the spots I got, you can't. You got to get so close to them. If you barely move to try to pull your bow back, they're going to jump. So that's why I like to use my crossbow sometimes.
Yeah, right on. Well, hey, give us your Instagram and your website, social media, all that stuff, where folks can find you and possibly book a trip for what August maybe is when you have an open date.
No, just call me. I mean, I have dates open here and there, and we can figure something out. I get cancellations from time to time, but I've got everything: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all the stuff. It's Jason Conn Fishing. You can just follow me on all that stuff.
You're on that avoid Chinese spyware TikTok. Gotcha.
Yeah, just avoid the personal page, please, because I am maxed out on that. But just follow all the business pages.
Right on. Well, Jason, man, congrats on the fish of a lifetime. That's a hell of a deal, and we appreciate your time. And hopefully, whether it's you or Dalton or somebody else, it'd be really cool to see a new state record caught in Texas.
Yeah, it's probably going to come here maybe this year, but maybe next year. I don't know. And it could be him, me, or just some random guy that's out here fishing that doesn't even know what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Blind squirrel, man.
That's probably who's going to catch it.
Yeah.
The lady in the back.
Yeah, with a crappie minnow, maybe.
Yeah,
Well, all right, brother.
for
Take care. We
sure.
appreciate the time.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right.
Talk to you.
Adios.